Hello, everybody. My name is Valentina. I'm very excited to be part of Outliers, and I'm extremely grateful to have the opportunity to be connecting with all of you today, despite not being in the same room or not being able to see any of you. So today I would like to share with you my experience as a data designer. In the last couple of weeks, I really tried to think about this journey, what I've learned, the things that I wish I knew when I started, and the things that I'm still in the process of learning. They're still work in progress. So I invite you to step inside my head and take a look at some of these thoughts. And if you know my work, you may know that I love maps. So for the purpose of this talk, I'm going to be using this diagrammatic map of the brain, which is definitely not accurate, not scientific, neither drawn to scale, but just as a way to navigate the puzzle of my own personal experience. And I would like to start from the beginning. How did I get here? I'm often asked what my path was. So here it is. I think it's the coexistence of two distinct identities, the rational and the creative minds, that caused me almost like a bit of tension. I was never really able to commit to science or art. I always found myself in the middle. One thing that might be helpful to understand is that when you're 14 in Italy, you need to pick a subject of focus and for high school. And I decided to study art. But then after 2 years, I didn't want to miss out on science. So I studied Latin during the summer to pick up the program from the third year of science. And similarly, at university, it was really hard to make the decision. So I studied industrial design first, and then when I moved to London, I decided to study visual communication. And it's here, during my postgraduate in visual communication, that I really moved my first steps working with data. I was researching a subject of interest, gender stereotypes, and without knowing it, I started to collect data, analyzing it, and presenting it. When I left university, I landed my first full-time job as a digital designer in advertising. But soon I realized advertising wasn't really my place. So I went back to my own self-initiated research and visual exploration, here at the construction of The Shining by Kubrick, to piece together a portfolio of work that could demonstrate my ability to work with data or complexity. And in 2013, I was fortunate enough to land a great opportunity, a book deal. And it was extremely challenging. We created 100 infographics in just about 8 months. But it's really the book that has cemented my experience in this world. It was a great launching pad. It opened up doors that I've never thought would be possible, from running a masterclass with The Guardian to public speaking to great opportunities to work across sectors and formats, where the common denominator of all my projects was data and complexity. Great, I thought I found a path, but then after a couple of years, I really felt like I was almost like burning out. Lots of work, something that I was deeply passionate about, but I wasn't 100% happy. I decided I needed a break, and I took a sabbatical of a year and I went traveling. I discovered incredible places and I picked up a few hobbies. And it's during this time that I really recharged the batteries, and I found myself really falling in love again with the material, with the data. Here is a visual deconstruction of Space Oddity by David Bowie. And since then, I would say that I've never been more happy. I'm working across sectors, across disciplines, and I really like this space because I feel like I'm still at the beginning. I'm constantly learning, and every new brief is a new puzzle to solve and an opportunity to learn about the world that we live in. I work with clients of all sizes, from startup to global agencies and global clients. And it's been a great ride. Even 2020, figuring out how to work remotely and how to bring my masterclasses to the digital space, it's been kind of like a hard challenge, but also kind of fun to solve. And I guess like in this path of up and downs, I should share that I've also become a mother, and that's has brought this new level of challenges, how to balance my work with my personal life. And I guess if I had to summarize these 15 years, that has been quite a ride, I would say that design is really a mindset. It brings curiosity to what you're doing, to the project, to life. Whether you're responding to a brief or an obstacle that presents itself, is about applying creative thinking to the challenge, to find a path around it, to find a way to get to the destination. If for many designers, data design is a niche, I found that working with data can be extremely broad, and you must be prepared to wear different hats and juggle different disciplines. Data design in the end sits at the intersection of these two disciplines, science and art. And I found myself wearing the explorer hat when I'm trying to figure out the data, the research, the complexity, and extracting really the insights that we want to communicate and think strategically about those stories. And then I'm becoming the guide when I want to create something that is more visceral and poetic, that can really be transformative as an act of communication. So in the design world, I think like I've touched so many different kind of like disciplines or subsets of skills, whether it's UX or UI, infographics, illustrations. I kind of really needed to adapt and to grow my skill sets based on the specific challenge of the brief that I was working on. But also I needed to be flexible and to stretch myself, to familiarize myself with the data science component of my work. It's impossible to avoid the spreadsheets when you're working with data. You need to feel comfortable diving in and analyzing and processing the numbers. And also around all of these different tasks, there are the writing and the speaking and being able to communicate what you do, communicate with others, writing emails and accountancy and the bureaucracy and invoicing and all of that. And throughout the years, I would say it's not just about wearing hats, it's also like labeling yourself that can be tricky. What title do you use? Is data design understood? Is information design specific enough for the type of work that I want to do? Well, the reality is that I've used different labels at different times, depending on who I was talking to and also the opportunities that I was seeking. And sometimes I also learned to embrace new titles based on the fact that the experience just led me to become an author or become a lecturer. And you need to embrace those experiences and not being too modest about it, because if you just accomplish something that can demonstrate that you can do it, then why not wearing the label and the hat? So I guess like the learning here is that you shouldn't box yourself in a title, and you should ultimately just find something that is not too outlandish, but also not too modest. And ultimately, the title doesn't really matter. It's the work that is going to speak, for what you can do, for your ability. So embrace the chaos and try to be as dynamic as possible. And it's the kind of like a necessity of navigating the chaos and being diverse and dynamic in moving around these different fields is important, I think, to have this Swiss Army approach. So building a toolkit that allows you to hack different things and ultimately to get to destination. And there is a temptation to wanting to learn everything. I've been there for many years. I wanted to learn to code, but I never got around it. And learning is important. It's a constant element in my practice. I would say that every couple of months I try a new tool and I see what I can do with it. But wanting to master everything and every tool that is out there, it could be possibly just be a waste of time and energy. You want to find your place in this process and find what your strength is. Is it design, data, the story that you want to focus on? And you will know your place by just trying out different things and see what will give you most joy. And also you want to be fully aware of the role that you play and use a tool that really will surface your abilities. And it's important not to let the tool decide for yourself, because we have a responsibility in communicating those stories to an audience. And therefore is really the creator input that is more valuable than the actual output. And I guess like in this process, it's important to have a compass that allows you to get to your destination and decide for yourself what this compass looks like and what is built off. There can be different elements. In my case, in my personal experience, one specific skill set has been incredibly helpful is sketching. It's been my compass in really laying the foundation of every project. Sketching is rough, is disposable, is fast, it's not drawing, it's not meant for the final execution, but it's really just to enable a mindset, to ideate, to come up with ideas, to evaluate your ideas, and also to communicate and collaborate with others. And sketching for me has also been helpful when I'm teaching and sharing with others what I do. And ultimately, I suppose like it's about not letting the tool decide for you or your skill set limit what you can do, because you can always grow, you can always learn something new in the process, or you can always reach out to others for help to complement your skill set. And I would say that my journey has been shaped by collaborations, have been key in most of my projects, whether they were commercial or self-initiated. They kept me accountable specifically for self-initiated project. And in the process, you grow as a professional, you learn from others, but also as a human being, to respect others, to overcome collisions, and to celebrate shared successes. I couldn't agree more with a friend, colleague, and the co-founder of Data for Change, Bronwyn, who said that to create, we need the opportunity to collide. Creativity is not found within our comfort zone. I guess this is really the spirit and the foundation of Data for Change. And I wish to quote Bronwyn here, because it's this collision, I think, that is really important to be reminded of or to be aware of. When you're working with others, it's usually not that easy. It's not a shortcut to get to the destination, but it can really enrich the journey to get there. And the outcome would be definitely unexpected, or not what you could have done by yourself. And also we talk about building empathy in our work, right? To really reach our audience with this empathetic bridge. And the more perspective we build in and we bring in the process, the more empathy we will build in our outcomes. One of the important things that I've learned during those years is being the ability to say no, or the skill to say no. And this is really, really important. Finding a focus, and also finding the courage to disappoint and to just decide what is right for you. In the first couple of years of setting up my own company and kind of like having the fear of paying the bills, I said yes to practically everything that was coming through the door, which wasn't healthy. I didn't take any time off. I was mostly working weekends and evenings. It was definitely not the right thing to do. But you know, you learn with experience, and you learn to find your balance. And I guess for me, the balance now is found across these four key metrics. What is the purpose? Meaning, is there a fit? Whether it's the agenda, the subject matter, is it something that I'm interested in doing? Is about the time, and also is about, is this something that I can do? Or is it going to be overwhelming me? Or is it going to give me the opportunity to learn a new skill set? And what is this reward? and is there enough of it? So learning to say no is really important, but also learning to say yes when it feels like a maybe. When I was first presented with the opportunity of running a masterclass for The Guardian, I was kind of like paralyzed with fear. But then I thought, why not? If somebody's actually offering me these opportunities because they believe I can do it, and this is based on the work that they demonstrated I can do, so why not building up some new skills that are presenting and sharing with others and teaching? I might just find something new in the process. And really is about pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and say yes when you just feel like it's a maybe, because you don't have maybe enough confidence in yourself. It's just during the process that you will find the confidence to do it and the strength. Keeping yourself hungry and fed, well fed. Well, I find my inspiration in pretty much everything, and usually are the stories of the data that point me towards different fields. But it's important to also plant the seeds, to nurture your brain, to nurture your eyes, and to train to see those stories. I find inspiration in nature, in science, in art, music, architecture, and the places I live. And it's really about this ability to see. And inspiration is very accessible nowadays because we are inundated with visual streams, media streams, Pinterest mood boards. But I believe the inspirations is so much more than that, is to let the story speak. And I think that our work is informed by and influenced by the conversation that we have, the places that we visit, the experience that we live. And it's important that this, especially in these isolated times that we're living in, it's vital to build diverse community. Diversity of thought, experience, gender, culture, race are really, really important to, again, build empathy in our work and to inspire our work. So hats off to the Outliers community and the organizers of the conference to allow us to connect today and to be inspired. And all of these references will build up a voice that you can then use in your work. And this can be unique to you, and you will decide how to use it and how to dial up and down within your work, depending on the purpose and the audience that you talk to. And I believe that a voice doesn't mean that you need to apply the same look and feel across all your portfolio. Everything needs to look the same. In fact, it's something that I've learned to be okay with, that my work speaks different languages and it has different tone of voice depending to who I was talking to and the purpose of the specific project. Ultimately, what we do is an act of communication, and we need to really respect our audience in the process. We can't just be as loud as possible all the time and just enforced our voice on it. And it's all about how we present it that will show our audience the insights, that will make them understand the story and the implications, and also will stimulate a response. So sometimes it's about dialing down this voice and just create a good bar chart, a compelling story that is clear and enough like that. Other times it's about creating novelty and a new visual display. But I do believe the design is really to make information useful, not just presenting it visually, not just rendering, but giving people ways to work, to think with the data, and to respond to it. So to summarize this point, I believe that it's not your voice, but it's really what you say that matters. And the foundation of all of this, I guess is just resilience. You learn through experience, through mistakes, and all of that builds resilience. There is no shortcut. In my opinion, it's hard to cheat it. And this is really what it takes. 1 part hard work, 2 parts you. What is hard work? Well, as with everything in life, the same applies to creative work. You need to practice more, and just get it done. And in this process, each attempt, each incremental shift will train your muscle, and the creative excellence will just grow. And you will practice on it, and you will learn from your mistakes. And it's important that you let others know of these attempts, even when they're not perfect. So share them. This is something that I'm still learning. I'm really not that good, especially when it comes to social media. Take advantage of those platforms, because if we keep being precious or shy about a work that we don't recognize as 100% of its potential, or what we could have done, then we just are missing opportunities for dialogue, for learning, to engage with the community, to engage with others, and to see how our work is perceived. So it's important to share it, put it out there, ask for feedback, and then move on into the next project. Even if that wasn't a success, you've learned something, and you've let other people that you're on your journey, and this will build confidence. And then the two-part you. Well, there is half part you that is about you, your experience, your passion, the things that you've seen, the things that you've lived and experienced, your network, your sensibility that will feed your work. But then ultimately it's also a mirror of you and your well-being and your happiness. And you need to gauge your success, your own progress, within your own experience, on whether you're doing stuff that you like and find satisfying. Never really compare your journey to others, because you are on your path, and doesn't make sense to compare it to others. So respect that, and respect your happiness. So if you do need a break, if you need to delete the social media apps from your phone, if you need to switch off at 6 o'clock the emails, and maybe Instagram, do that. Listen to your gut. The mind-gut connection is not just metaphorical. I do believe that is super, super important. And do please remember that with every opinion and piece of advice, there is an equal opposite opinion. So this is just my experience. You know enough, and you're strong enough to pick the advice that works for you. Good luck and enjoy the ride. Thank you so much for listening.